Hey, Gutfoxx here. So today we're going to go through some pitching tips. A lot of people have asked about it, and I will say pitching is significantly easier than hitting. It's going to be a lot less practice for you to be a great pitcher. I run in probably 20 great pitchers before I run into one great batter, and a lot of the great batters are also great pitchers. So I think this year with the pinpoint and what they added this year was so overwhelmingly powerful. It's insane. It's the most powerful thing they've added to the game in years. If you're not using pinpoint, you're making a huge mistake. Obviously, if you're casual and you just want to use the other ones, that's fine. If you don't care that much about winning, then go ahead and use the other ones. But this, we asked them for pitches that don't hang when we nail their inputs, and they gave us pinpoint, which is turns basically silvers and golds into prime Greg Maddux. So if you're not using pinpoint, I feel very bad for you, right? It's crazy. Some people are like, oh, I have a tough time doing pinpoint and stuff. Okay, well, let's go through the pinpoint tips. This video is going to be broken into three sections. One, a tier list of the pitches, pinpoint tips, and then some other tips, okay, on how to attack batters with what pitches. So basically, let's do the tier list of pitches. The best pitches in the game, sinker is number one, right? I think that's an S tier pitch. There's nothing even close to it. Do you see how in this there's a slight upward movement of the sinker at that start? Do you see how in the blue, how it kind of goes up? So that up makes it look like it's gonna break like a curveball or something. And then when it comes back down to it just breaks away, and it's as fast as fastballs. And it comes in and it looks very fast, very hard to hit. It breaks arm side too. There's not many pitches that break arm side. It's basically sinker. Two seamers are awful, but they somewhat break arm side. Some fastballs break a little arm side, depending on the pitcher's throw motion, of course. But two seamers I wouldn't throw. Four seamers I also don't think are great, because a lot of four seamers are flat, and flat pitches are easy to hit. Kluber's got a pretty nice movement on his four seam. You see how it's got a little bit of movement there, but it ain't great versus his sinker. I would almost never throw the four seam with Kluber versus sinker cutter on him. The top tier, the A tier, I go cutter, changeups, any of the changeups, palm ball. I don't think a lot of players have palm ball, anybody. We have splitters, fork balls. There's tons of changeups in the game. Screwballs are great this year. Last year they hung a lot. Sliders, slurs are great. I think a 12-6 curves. Knuckle curves got improved dramatically this year. They have a lot sharper of a break than they had previous years. You see how it basically breaks the whole zone? I'm moving a little fast on my PCI movement right there. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, how do you work with pinpoint? What are some tips? Now, you saw me put some pretty bad inputs there because I wasn't really paying attention to the pinpoint. But basically, my tip is, if you can't get pinpoint, practice until you can. If you have a next-gen Xbox controller, it's broke. You have to get a new controller. I had to order a Power A. It sucks, but you cannot use a next-gen Xbox controller because of how broke it is. Otherwise, PlayStation, all the rest of them should be fine for you. Now, you see that I'm missing, and the balls are generally going where I want, right? That's one of pinpoint's beauties, is that you can actually mess up a lot of the inputs, and a lot of this stuff still stays pretty close to where you want it, right? I was too fast, 3 degrees left, and it basically went exactly where I wanted it. Pinpoint is insanely powerful. Now, if you have trouble getting the motions down, and it's not that good, it's not that close, and you hang a lot of stuff, definitely try out Control Freaks. Maybe buy a set of Control Freaks, add it to the right stick, and go for it that way. So, it's crazy. It's crazy how powerful it is. Definitely get used to it. That's my biggest tip on pinpoint. Just follow the motion, follow the speed, and then see how it goes. Follow the speed, and then when it gets down to right there, do you see how I was late a little bit? You see when the circle closes? Now, curveballs will miss. I will say curveballs will hang quite a bit. They'll hang on analog. They'll hang on a lot of stuff. But you see how when the circle closes, that's when you throw it. That's my biggest pinpoint tip. That one matters the most of all. Is this motion? It's okay, but if you screw up this motion, that's when it's gonna go far away, right? You see how it was left and early. So that's what's gonna happen a little bit more often with that. So pinpoint tips. That's it. Practice. Make sure and get pinpoint tips done. If you're not using pinpoint, you're wrong. So that's my tip. I didn't think pinpoint would be as good as it is, but it is insanely much better, because in the beta, guys had high control numbers, and on analog, it was still pretty good. But now that we're using silvers and I'm getting Greg Maddux type pitches, it's kind of crazy. So, all right, how do you attack batters? Now, you'll hear a lot of people talk about tunneling pitches. Let's go over that first. Tunneling pitches is basically setting pitches up off each other. Make them all look alike out of the hand, and then they break all different directions. Now, you see how this sinker is coming and breaking towards the batter, towards the right-handed batter? All right, so if you throw it here, this is going to be a ball, and a lot of guys are actually going to swing at this. This is probably the best pitch in the game right there. That pitch right there, because it looks like a breaking ball because that slight hump up from the sinker, but then it comes in. A lot of guys will swing at that. If they don't swing at that, if like super disciplined, then you do the same thing, and they're going to see that thing, it's going to be outside the strike zone, so they can give up on it. And then, well, if I could hit my timing properly, the cutter would have then been a strike in on them. Now, we'll talk about very specific powerful pitches here in a second, but a lot of guys you'll see tunnel like that. Oh my God, they got a backdoor cutter. Now I got to look at, now since they can throw a strike off that same release point, now when we throw the sinker again, they're more likely to swing because the ball at that same release point hit there. Now, you see that sinker, it really looks like a curveball with the hump up. So then you go ahead and throw the curveball, generally like a little bit below the zone. But okay, there's two type of players that you'll play against. You'll play against very patient hitters, and you'll play against very disciplined hitters. Against disciplined hitters, you want to start the ball outside the zone and break it in. Against undisciplined players, you basically want to start the ball in the zone and break it out of the zone, and you get them chasing quite a bit frequently like that. Now, that was an awful pitch because I missed my spot. But you see how curveballs will hang if you miss them. Curveballs are very dangerous on the hanging scale. That's why I think curveballs are like not nearly as good as a lot more other pitches. So even though you have great pitch inputs, they still go wherever they want, which is one of the main frustrations in previous years, is because even with perfect analog pitching, curveballs, changeups, they still kind of hang. Now, changeups are beautiful. Do you see the same thing? I could say do the same portion of like, all right, let's do a little bit of tunneling with that off the sinker, cutter. Say they start timing that up, then you throw the changeup, 83 miles per hour, a significant downward break, and that's a great pitch, is tunneling it through that inside sinker cutter. Now, changeups are crazy, right? Changeups are crazy because you can throw them anywhere, right? If guys are sitting on up and in fastballs, if you throw like an up and in, like if they're hitting it like if they're ahead of the ball, like there'll be also like a few other types of guys, right? Like I talked about, there are guys that are wildly undisciplined, they'll swing at almost everything. There are guys that are very disciplined that won't. Now, here's the thing. Some guys, there's the other category of guys, like, let me tell you, some guys are fastball hitters, some guys are off-speed hitters. Now, you need to know, you got to determine in the first inning, is the player that you're playing, and you can really determine it within the first few pitches, is the guy you're playing a fastball hitter or an off-speed hitter, right? Like, if you throw a curveball and they nail it, if their timing is great, if you throw the curveball and they swing and hit it, and they're like, okay, well, they're sitting on that. Then you throw something fast, and they're behind it, you're like, okay, so they're sitting mostly on off-speed stuff, okay? Great. Now I can kind of pump them with a little bit more fastballs, speed their bat up before you end up throwing down the curveball or the changeup for the strike three. Now, changeups below the zone, curveballs below the zone, they are hittable. I've given up a lot of hits throwing a pitch right there, right? A lot of foul balls happen just like that. They're very frustrating, not strikeout pitches, because guys go into contact swing with, you guys know how broke that is if you've watched this channel. So guys will foul that off, so it is frustrating on that. So hopefully they patch contact swing soon. There's not much you can do other than just keep throwing it out of the zone. Hopefully they end up mistiming one of your pitches enough not to foul it off. So there you go. You really want to determine what your opponent is early. Like I said, fast stuff hitter or slow stuff hitter, breaking ball hitter. Are they sitting high or low? You can't really tell that much because guys can react pretty much all over the zone. You won't face a lot of great hitters that are like perfectly disciplined and they're great at hitting everything. Sometimes you will. Sometimes a guy will just be absolutely on top of everything. I think if you're going against guys that are like really disciplined on top of everything, I think great pitches, like if you're facing a left-handed hitter, a great pitch is a cutter to the outside portion right here. A cutter right there, very rarely swung at. Now you'll be able to tell somebody, like the cutter to the bottom corner. Now it's on legend difficulty, so it's going to be a little bit more inaccurate here. But basically you can set up that cutter to the bottom corner by throwing a sinker off the edge to a left-handed hitter and see if they swing at it. If they don't swing at this pitch, if they let that go, then you know you're basically free. They're a disciplined hitter to hit the backdoor cutter or the bottom low and away fastball. Low and away fastballs, because of how easy it is to place them this year, man, I keep missing. Look at me on All-Star. It's so easy to dot on All-Star, and even Hall of Fame it's incredibly easy. Legend, it is a little bit more difficult on pinpoint to dot. I maybe should have turned it down to All-Star difficulty, but Anyways, that pitch right there, but throw a strike. Nobody's swinging at that shit. No, or wild players are swinging at it. Don't throw that to somebody that's swinging at everything. Throw changeups low, below the zone to people that are swinging at everything. But that is a great pitch, right? That's what I talked about, breaking pitches into the zone, low and away. Because for years, nobody really threw down and away fastballs because they were so wild. They wouldn't really get a lot of strikes. This year, it's a lot easier to do that. So there, you will run against guys also that will always take the first pitch or will take them. So just look at that at the start of the game. Guys will like start off the game taking the first pitch to see the pitcher. Like they're like, oh, I've been told by YouTubers to take the first pitch. Just take advantage of them. Take it to get the first pitch. Another great pitch you see a sinker to like a lefty. Like opposite-handed batters are the hardest ones to get out, right? Same-sided hitters aren't nearly as hard. But I think like if they're disciplined, a sinker down and in, either right here. I love sinkers right there. That's a little harder spot. Or like right here are not bad at all. Sinkers up here, I've definitely thrown strikes like that, especially when you sink them right there. If you sink to the top of the zone, guys will think it's going up and then swing at it, right? It's a good idea to test this on your players with, say, a fastball high. Fastball in this region is asking for a home run. It's absolutely broken. You don't even have to get your PCI on the ball up here. Home run. You can take a look at up here. You can test it. I don't mind testing your opponent. See if they'll swing at a pitch or if they have good discipline high. If they have good discipline high, start dropping a couple sinkers in on them on the zone. So so if they don't swing at that, like, okay, they got discipline there. Now bring your sinker, which admittedly this year doesn't sink as much as it did in the previous year, so it's not as powerful. But then you bring your sinker in. If they didn't swing at a fastball high, I was like, oh crud. Now they're gonna your opponent's not thinking, oh man, now they're throwing sinkers at the top of the zone. Now I gotta look out for that, and that sets up your entire rest of your zone to attack it, because now they're gonna be looking for sinkers at the top of the zone as much as they are ignoring fastballs above it. So it's a great setup pitch too. Like I said, sinkers inside on the handedness if I'm going against the lefties. Righties, I love it too. I don't love sinkers low and away. Sinkers low and away, it feels like, I don't know if you see the path of the red, it feels like it's going over the middle of the plate, so a lot more guys will swing at it. That's why I prefer the fastball low and away. If you are going to use your fastball with Kluber, if you're facing a right-handed hitter, low and away is not a bad idea. If you have a lefty facing a righty, low and away, like I said, even against a lefty, low and away fastballs. There's something about the way the angle looks. It doesn't look like a good pitch. Again, like I said, unless they're wild swingers, then they'll swing at anything. So otherwise, I've talked about changeups. Place changeups wherever you want. Now, it's tough because, like, at higher levels, right, you're going to go against a lot of guys slamming their PCIs. Like, if you're facing a good hitter at higher levels and he's destroying everything on the edge of the zones against you, this is going to be kind of backwards thinking, but maybe put it, like, right here, right? Maybe put it just under where the PCI is, right? Obviously, don't put it down the middle. Any pitch down the middle is going to be hammered. Guys can just center swing. But if you put it a little lower, they're going to slam the PCI down. They're going to just slam it down and swing, and they're going to end up popping the ball up. That's not a bad spot, right? It's not a bad spot for a changeup. Also, like the four-seamer, if like an all-star, this is like a home run pitch, right? Because the PCI is so big, they don't really have to adjust it much. But on like a Hall of Fame legend, like because they're going to be slamming their PCI one way or the other, like if you put it right here, they slam the PCI, okay, they can get a home run, right? Right here is like a home run pitch if they slam the PCI up and in. But like right here, that's like you're gonna miss it, right? So it's not terrible to kind of like, put it in there. Not necessarily, you don't always have to be on the edge of the zone, especially if the guy you're going against is slamming the PCI. But most players, if you put it on the edge of the zone, you will end up beating them. Make sure and use the entire zone though, right? I don't love anything. Okay, when I say the entire zone, anything middle, right here where my fastball is, all the way down to here. Do not throw pitches. Do not throw pitches anywhere in the middle zone. That's the one thing I will say. It is very easy to get base hits. I've got my opponent's batting average probably is like over 300, 400 if you throw it anywhere in the middle here, because you just slam the PCI up, slam it down. Super easy movements to make, super easy to see. So you always want to be left or right, up or down. So that's my thing. You want to be around, not in the middle. Definitely 100% the thing to do. Now, of course, maybe you throw, okay, you can get really ballsy and throw a changeup right here. They think it's a center fastball, and they swing like it's a fastball, and then they're on top of it. Okay, maybe the one exception, right? Like I said, if you try to outthink them, if they're hitting your things on the edge, maybe you go to that and they're getting a ground ball. All right. Also, I will say, once in a blue moon, sliders, curveballs up. It's the same thought process around sinkers up to get it back in the zone. Like they're looking high, they're looking off the zone. Now curveballs I don't love. I feel like they're easier to see high, and they're a little wilder than sliders, I feel. So maybe not, but I've definitely seen that effective inside the lefties, inside the righties, to make them have to like swing quicker. But like curveballs on the outer half, like say I'm facing lefty, if I put a curveball here, I feel like it's very easy to see for the opponents. I will bring a slider into it to backdoor a slider, but I feel like backdooring a curve, unless they're 100%, you know, not looking forward or really patient or something, I don't love it, because like I just hung that and I just gave him a home run, right? Even that, see how it said perfect pitch release, and you see how the curveball went to the exact center of the freaking plate. So that's like that's what I'm saying, is like we wanted analog to get better and curveballs not to get wildly different. Now sinkers, cutters, you see how small they are? They don't go where you don't want them to go. They basically go exactly where you want them. They don't vary that much. Even when I miss them, that's exactly where I wanted a sinker. Like that's totally okay. But like curveballs, they have a tendency to hang a lot more. So I'm a little bit more like judicious with my curveballs with my off-speed stuff, specifically curveballs. Sliders, slurs I've seen hang quite a bit too. That's why I have a tough time with Gutfoxx, right? All right, so that's kind of what I want to talk about, though, right? How to attack hitters and how to do things. Other special pitches. Let's see. Change screwballs. Obviously, he's pitching with certain pitchers, like Valenzuela's wildly different than pitching with a sinker cutter guy, because you got to move around their changeup, screwball, curveball to kind of pitch off each other, tunnel a little better. But that's for maybe another video if you guys like this one. If you did, please thumbs up the video. Helps it out quite a bit. If you didn't, thumbs down. Let me know why. But I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching Call to Action. See you tomorrow.